What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead. I'm your host, Mike Exler, along with Rich Delzato. Rich, how are you?
I am well. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. It's a good day to be alive and a good day to talk about some Horror Realm news. So we're gonna start off with some news. Rich, what say you about this news that you have for us?
So, not the kind of news that we normally have. No new guest announcements. That's still being worked on. We're in a little bit of lull, which happens around the holiday season. But I thought people might be enjoy something that's going to be starting to pop up on our social media and our print materials in the near future. We got an artist on Unhallowed Art. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook if you search for Unhallowed Art. We got him to do a kind of a mascot artwork for us. Let me share it with you if you want to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this is the first time anybody's seeing this outside of the artist and myself.
Nice.
What do you think?
That's very cool. I dig the whole zombie vibe and the film vibe. I dig it. I really like it.
Yeah, I think he hit a home run with this. I love the guts going through the film projector. I like.
Right.
Yeah, he made the concessions disgusting and aged. I'm really happy with it. And this, what's that?
You said disgusting and aged. I said like you.
Like my balls. Oh, sorry.
Whoa.
We're not that kind of show anymore, are we?
Hey.
Sorry. I had a little fallback to our old ways. Anyway. So, and this guy here is going to be our mascot going forward. So when we have special events and themed events, we will this will be the guy you'll see with artwork fitting the picture. Unhallowed Art, he's easy to work with, does a great job, and really, in my opinion, is reasonable. So it makes it worth going back to him time and time again and doing different things with this guy. So
right.
Anyway, I thought that'd be fun to share that with everybody, a little sneak peek, if you will.
That's the perks of listening to the show. You get to see the little sneak peeks and such. Whoa.
Exactly.
So it's all done. So that's the bit of news we have for you. I did want to mention before we get started with our first segment that thank you again to Felissa Rose for joining us last time. It was a great episode, great to talk to her. So we want to thank her once again, and thank you all for checking it out on the various ways you can listen or watch. We do appreciate your support. So Rich, you're going to work. What?
Which, by the way, sorry to interrupt you. Our friend Tim Critchman, he gave me some updates on how you can listen and hear us. The Alexa feed is now, there is one geared, or Amazon geared towards just our show. I haven't tried it out yet, but apparently I think you can just ask for Horror Realm Radio and you'll hear it that way. And then he also has us on iTunes. What else did he put us on? Are you familiar? Oh, Stitcher.
Stitcher, yes. We are on Stitcher.
Yeah, so just some more ways to be able to hear us. And, of course, you can go to the Otherworldly Culture website or the Horror Realm Facebook page and just click the YouTube video and go to the channel and subscribe if you want to get updates when something new's been posted.
Most definitely. We appreciate all the likes and comments and subscriptions, so that we know you guys are out there enjoying what we're doing or making fun of us. Either way, we appreciate it.
Should I dare try the Alexa again?
Isn't it like Horror Realm Podcast, Horror Realm Radio Podcast?
Let's try it. Alexa, play Horror Realm Radio Podcast.
Getting Horror Shop Radio from Amazon Music.
Nope.
Playing the latest episode, S1E2, The Shrieks.
Alexa, stop. All right. We'll post on how to exactly talk to Alexa. But iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, those are your best bets right now.
Yep.
So anyway, I didn't mean to trip up.
That's right. There's also an
what?
audio feature on the website on Otherworldly Culture. You can download that from our site, and you can put it on your device and take it anywhere if that is more convenient for you as well. So we have many, many ways. I just felt like the guy from Police Academy there was saying many, many. That was weird. Many,
I
many
liked it.
wonderful cadets. I hope they don't remake
Nice.
that, because they need to just leave that one alone. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I don't. That type of slapstick doesn't seem to be remade.
Mhm.
They take dramas and try to make them slapstick now, like 21 Jump Street.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the true slapstick, they seem to kind of leave that alone for the most part.
yeah. It's hard to pull that off and do it well.
Yeah.
But this is a horror show, so we need to talk about horror. So you're working on a segment, a little retrospective segment. So why don't you take over and talk a little bit about what you've been working on, man?
Sure. So this is something that I hope to evolve into interesting conversation, which it probably won't be tonight because I'm new to this. But I want to focus on certain directors that I really enjoy and want to dig deeper into. And I started with arguably my favorite director, which what I'm about to say is not something you should say in the city of Pittsburgh, but John Carpenter, which I know you're a fan of also, Mike.
I am. He's probably top three for me, actually.
It's a toss-up between he and Romero for me. And though Romero has a special place in my heart and maybe, depending on the day, my favorite horror film, I'm looking at the bigger picture, and the catalog of films that Carpenter has provided for my entertainment is, for me personally, second to none.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that's why I decided to start with him. Plus, you and I kind of started jumping into this, what was that, almost 3 years ago now, when we did a little special event at the Hollywood Theater. We did we were starting a John Carpenter film series.
We were, yeah. We did what, 4 films that day?
4 films. It was a long, fun day and big crowds, if you recall. And we had beer for sale in the lobby, and it wasn't a party per se, but it was a very awesome social gathering.
It was a lot of great conversations going on before the films and after the films in the lobby area, and just a lot of horror fans talking to each other about films. And looking back, in these times that we're going through, that sounds like a really good time right now.
It does.
Just being at the theater and talking with a bunch of horror fans and then going to watch a movie and stuff like that. So sometimes you don't know how good you have it until, it's not there anymore.
Exactly.
Or COVID comes along.
And we had a good lineup that day. I'm trying to remember. We had Dark Star, The Thing.
Dark Star.
The Thing.
Mm-hmm. Damn it.
Prince of Darkness?
Don't think so.
No, we were saving that for the next one.
Yeah, it was the we didn't do Halloween because you just showed that
for
in
Halloween.
October.
Yeah. Wow.
I know it was dark.
We're bad.
It's terrible.
This was our event. Dark Star and The Thing,
was.
I know 100%.
Definitely those two.
We did not show The Fog because there was a 4K restoration coming out that we were waiting on.
We didn't show Escape from New York because that had just been shown not too long ago with Tom.
What the hell this is embarrassing right now.
It is, because I used to have a poster hanging up.
Oh, I just looked at the poster the other day.
Did you?
And I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't know.
It was an awesome lineup.
Do you know, are we old now that we can't remember?
I think
the fucking 2 other movies.
I think so. They Live. We did They Live.
They Live was one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just missing one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, 3 out of 4 is not bad.
It ain't, especially for this show.
And of course, we were gonna make that a regular thing till we got through his whole catalog, but the local community theater changed up a little bit. So someday when another theater of that ilk comes along, we'll of course maybe resurrect this thing.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good time and well received. So we definitely need to go back. And Carpenter, there's a lot of directors
Yeah.
to go through catalogs. So
So my focus of this, trying to find that interesting conversation that we can have, or providing some tidbits. Most everybody's familiar with his mainstream movies and even some of his more obscure stuff. And I'm not going to bring a lot of new knowledge there. What I wanted to
mhm.
do was kind of go decade by decade and revisit everything, rewatch, and try to see the evolution of the filmmaker and what might have been going on in that era. And I started to notice that there were some different things. If what we're going to talk about tonight is his works in the 70s, and the next time the 80s. And there's a big change in the 80s, which I won't get too much into right now because that's going to be another segment. But um, you kind of see an evolution or a change in focus from horror to, I mean, I guess I can say this part in the 80s. He kind of starts to get into more of the um, end of the world kind of stuff, or big change of, I mean, when you think about things like Prince of Darkness, They Live, those were big change. That's end of the world stuff, or end of the world as we know it stuff. So
Right.
we'll talk more about that evolution next time. Like I said, I want to focus on the early part of his career right now. And it's interesting because you can actually go back to 1969 when he was still in film school, and you can find a couple of his shorts on YouTube, actually. The two that are available that I was able to find were Captain Voyeur and The Resurrection of Bronco Billy. And two very different movies or short films. Captain Voyeur was interesting to me. It's basically a librarian guy who is he's a voyeur, and Carpenter sets it up interesting because you kind of get the idea in the library. It's like a college library, it looks like, or something of that nature. That he's a little pervy with the way he's looking at one of the girls that's in there, and it's I think an 8-minute film, so this all happens pretty quick.
Okay.
Hence short film. The
Right.
it cuts away to him then going home and getting his gear on to go around town and start looking in people's windows. And he sees the dark underbelly of people's homes, sex and everything else, and what people do when they don't think anybody's looking.
Right.
Which
And that's
that
probably
part
not good.
that part was interesting and kind of fun. He put some humor in there. What was really interesting with this movie, and it's not ruining much. Of course, it's an 8-minute film, so I've probably ruined it completely already. But what's interesting is the voyeur, you start to see little tidbits of what you're going to see when Halloween finally comes around. And what I mean by that is, one is the voyeur, you're seeing things from his point of view through a mask at times, which we're well aware
Okay.
is one of the big ways that he presents Michael Myers in the movie. And then you also can see his, and it's really impressive early, considering this is 1969 and he's in film school, you can see the shadowing, the way he uses shadows to create the feel of the situation. And I really found that interesting that in this short little film, it's almost like you're walking with Michael Myers, except now he's just a perverted voyeur instead of a killer.
That's not killing anybody.
Right. So that was a great way to kick this thing off, because I had never tried tracking these short films down before. And for the very first one to be able to draw some parallels, and and if John Carpenter was sitting here talking to us, which he's more than welcome to come on the show anytime, he'd probably tell he'd probably tell me I'm reading too much into it and I'm an idiot. But that's why John Carpenter is one of the best guys out there. He also is, he directed, wrote, produced, and yeah. He was composer and editor, and composer is interesting too. Now he's using not his own music from what I could tell in this case, but you can still kind of sense his style with what he chooses. So, well, I guess he was the composer. It says composer. Whatever it is, you can see his style was there early on and evolves through his movie career. So, in the credits, there is a Nick Castle that was on the crew. You know, Michael Myers.
Is it the same Nick Castle?
I'm assuming it had to have been. So, something I want to look into deeper is see if their relationship started back then. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Stunts?
I forget. No, it was something like he was like crew for this one. There was no stunts really in this movie. Unless you consider sex.
Damn it.
Sorry, I have to adjust here. Unless you consider sex a stunt, which for some people it is. You let that one.
I guess you could, yeah. I didn't really know what to say about that one.
So to wrap up the short film stuff, it's worth mentioning the resurrection of Bronco Billy. It's a little bit longer, worth watching, and it's basically a cowboy having to adapt to the modern world. That's the easiest way to sum that up.
Oh, okay.
But what's interesting is he won, and let me make sure my notes are correct on this, or my memory. Yeah, it won an Academy Award for Best Live Action Short Subject in 1970. So, fresh out of film school, he won an Academy Award, which I think
that's not bad right out of the gate.
No, and it's been probably, I can't guarantee this because I didn't look, but it's probably the last Academy Award John Carpenter won.
Yeah, probably.
So going on into the 70s, now he gets his chance at his first feature film, and that was Dark Star, which actually began as a student film also, but was finished when he was out of school. And he worked on it with Dan O'Bannon, who you're probably familiar with, Mike.
Yes. Dan O'Bannon? Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. I mean, I never met him, obviously.
No, but he was, they apparently were either fellow students or friends, and Dan O'Bannon was a production designer, editor, and he also acted in the film. And of course, true to John Carpenter's style, he was director, writer, producer, and composer. Have you seen this movie before, Mike? Yeah.
Dark Star? I have not. We showed it, and I didn't.
No, we were too busy entertaining people.
We were entertaining mofos.
That's an interesting movie. It's basically these guys that are isolated on a space mission, deep space, and it's pretty much a meaningless mission. They destroy various planets. Essentially what humankind is trying to do is find areas that they're going to populate in the future, and they destroy planets that are volatile, that might explode and things like that, and harm planets that could be used for human life. So they just drop these bombs on these planets that look like cargo crates. There's nothing special about them. And that's what these guys' mission is. And what's cool though is you get an idea that they are, how lost they are. They're just out there at one time the guy said, it's funny, we've been out here for 20 years, but we've only aged 3. Or maybe it was 4. And I guess that's the time space thing.
Right.
But he does a pretty good job capturing the boredom, how mentally you're starting to break down. Now, when I say they did a good job capturing it, you got to remember this is started in film school. The effects are cheap and basic. The actors are the best you can get at that time, but everybody did a pretty good job with it. And I think it's good to watch this film if you're a Carpenter fan and haven't seen it, because again, you start to see his filming style, the music, you're starting to see the evolution again as a composer. And of course, we know later in his career, he has films like The Thing where people are isolated. And so to see his early works of how he has those people portrayed on screen compared to when you get down the line, something like The Thing, it's interesting to see where he began and where he ended up with that type of view.
Right.
Interesting. It was interesting also. It was filmed on 16 millimeter film over 4 years. He you can
4 years.
Yeah, it was. You can find some interviews and stuff from Carpenter. He said it wasn't your typical film shoot the whole movie and get it done. He said they would shoot a scene and raise money for the next scene until they had enough money. They weren't filming. So really cool that he was able to piece together a full film. And watching the movie, you wouldn't know that it was done over 4 years. Like I don't know if he filmed the actors all their scenes all at once or what, but and there's an awesome scene with an alien in it. Yeah, it's worth checking this movie out just for the alien. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it. I mean, it looked interesting, to say the least. So I definitely want to check it out.
It's a lot of fun. So from there, and an underlying theme for Carpenter for most of his career has been people don't give him a very big budget to make these movies. And the next one was Assault on Precinct 13, and they gave him, I forget, he got a two movie deal or something from some investor, and it was like $350,000 or something for 2 movies. I just almost fell over and broke one of my lights. Let me fix that. So Assault on Precinct 13 was the first movie for this investor's money, and it was done on a low budget. And for this one, he was the director, writer, and composer. He did not produce. What I thought was interesting, though, is, he started to get pretty good actors and actresses, not always well-known. I mean, the best-known name in there is probably Austin Stoker. I think that's how you say it, or is it Stroker? Stoker. But the supporting actors and actresses, and I don't know if you've revisited this movie recently, Mike, but in watching it again, the quality of these people for not being big stars and things of that nature, they really gave good performances. And I started to realize as you go through his movies, when he has movies that have some cast with less known names, he still found a way to attract really good actors and actresses. So just an interesting little thing I thought about. This was a cool movie, and you've seen it, right, Mike? When I say revisit it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen it. It's been a while, but I remember the stir that it caused. Well, reading about the stir, I wasn't born when it was made, but about when the little girl got shot.
Yeah, and
through the ice cream
that was
cone.
controversial. They almost got a X rating because of that, and it's something he says he would never do again. But it was the right thing to do for the time in the movie. It was. I
wonder why he wouldn't do it again.
I don't know either. He didn't really say, because obviously I scoured through different things to see what he had to say about his movies, and he didn't really say why he wouldn't do it again. He just said he wouldn't. And do it again, meaning he wouldn't do it in a film now. He doesn't regret doing it then.
Okay. Right.
But, for those who...
Just wonder why people sometimes shy away from that. That type of horror.
I've never understood why killing a child or a baby is such a bad thing in a movie. I mean, it's reality.
I don't either. It's supposed to be a horror movie, right? Like, why are there fucking rules?
Exactly.
It's so shocking or whatever. Well, yeah, it's a horror film. It's fucking supposed to be. Sorry.
No, I agree with you. So, just real quick, if you haven't seen it, I think most Carpenter fans have, but, Austin Stoker's the cop basically shutting down a defunct police station, and there's a criminal gang that comes after the police station because they had some members killed, and they've also got a large supply of illegal guns. So the police have been after them, and basically they're looking to. There's reasons why they go after this police station and kill people. I don't want to give too much away, but it is a good, another kind of isolated movie. This time, 90% of the movie or more is the police station, and just good, interesting to watch his filming style continue to evolve. Less shadows and stuff though, a little bit, but you start to see how he takes in the scene, the set, and how he makes that work for the imagery as well. So definitely see the evolution in this movie, which then gets us to his next movie, which really the next one I'm not going to talk about too much. I should mention, by the way, he said he was influenced by Rio Bravo. For people who like to look at movies that influenced a filmmaker, that's what influenced him for his style and approach for Assault on Precinct 13. Next, I think he did a movie he kind of did for a paycheck. He was the writer on Eyes of Laura Mars, and that's the only thing he had to do with that. Have you ever seen that movie?
I've never even heard of it.
So it was a TV movie, and it had Faye Dunaway. I think it was a TV movie. I could be wrong about that. And it had Faye Dunaway and Tommy Lee Jones in it. So pretty big cast, but he didn't have much to do with it except writing. It was
Okay.
They said it was kind of a quasi giallo movie.
Okay.
And the long and short of that movie is she's a fashion photographer, and she starts to and she likes sexual and violent images in the movie. And I saw it a long time ago, and I revisited it. I found myself, I'll be honest with you, getting a little bored with it. But she all of a sudden gets the ability to see things from a serial killer's perspective, which is a cool kind of, thing to have happen. And one of her friends is, and her friends and associates are the people that the serial killer is stalking. So Tommy Lee Jones plays a policeman who helps her try to figure out who this is before more people are killed.
That's a shocking role for him.
Yeah. So John Carpenter talking about it, he talked about how, when you write things, then directors and producers and stuff take it and, change it up. Like Laura Mars was supposed to be a crime photographer, not a fashion photographer, which makes a lot more sense for the violent images and stuff.
Right.
And he did have the director was Irvin Kershner, and he did have some criticism that he didn't think he did a good job of making the visual style very compelling. And that's interesting because, as I've kind of been alluding to, you're seeing the evolution of what his style is. And so I found that interesting that he definitely had a different vision on how it should have looked. So, interesting movie if you're, just want to see how his writing style was and how they turned it into a movie without him directing. So, at that point, then we get into a couple of, these are TV movies that he did, that he wrote. Let me just double check. I had to make some notes. Yeah, he just wrote one of them, and then he wrote and directed the other. And he did these before we get to the big moment of 1978, which is Halloween. If that ruined it for anybody, they're not a Carpenter fan. The movies were Zuma Beach and Someone Is Watching Me. And these I was not able to track down. Someone Is Watching Me you can get on DVD, and I do plan on actually getting that at some point. That's the one that he also directed. So I am very interested in that one. But it's interesting, he met his future wife, Adrienne Barbeau, during filming of Someone Is Watching Me. So I thought that was interesting. In that movie, Lauren Hutton, who's another big name, she takes a room in a high-rise apartment, it says. And then it was an apartment where somebody committed suicide previously. And while she's there, she starts getting mysterious phone calls and weird gifts in the mail. And she realizes somebody has gone through her apartment when she's not there. So it's basically another situation. There's a tormentor, and she gets the police involved, but they can't do anything, and it's getting to the point where she has to figure out who's doing this to her and take care of business. So right. Sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing it. And then Zuma Beach was bad. Zuma Beach had who was the girl from I should have written this down, from Three's Company? Chrissy. Who played Chrissy?
Oh God.
Suzanne Summers.
Suzanne Summers.
Yeah, she's the star in this thing. Yeah, what's that?
Not the fake Chrissy, right?
No, the real Chrissy.
Priscilla Barnes.
So anyway, this is like a lighthearted beach movie that he was the writer for. And again, I think this is, hey, I'm trying to make it in Hollywood and I need a paycheck to keep doing my stuff.
Right. I need to eat food.
So that led into and gave him the ability then to make 1978's Halloween. I don't think I need to give anybody the synopsis of that movie. What I can say is, watch a couple of these earlier films, especially the short film I mentioned, Voyeur, and it was just, it's very interesting to see how his style, we're all familiar with the soundtrack. Again, you can see the evolution of his compositions, and definitely, I think this was a good decade to focus on, and even if I never did any more with revisiting everything, it was good to watch this stuff in order, and really kind of started to appreciate him as a director and composer and writer even more by doing it this way. So that's, those are the things I took from his first decade. Some notes I made is how he portrays antagonists, the shadowing and angles that he uses in his filming style. You can see the evolution, and again, the music. So I hope it was interesting to you, Mike. Next time we'll talk about, after the success of Halloween, he went into the 80s and kicked it off with nothing less than an Elvis movie. So we can talk about that next time.
It's funny. I don't know if anybody, like the directors that we talk about, Craven, Romero, him, whatever, if there's anybody more versatile than John Carpenter. Even your A-list directors, I'm not sure if anybody's as versatile as him as far as what he can do and really what he's accomplished. So
I agree with you. I've thought about that, and I can't really think of anything else anybody's done like he has. I know Romero did a lot of commercials and things of that nature, which I would love to see some of those, even though they're short, 30-second spots. It might show some of his versatility, but I don't know if he had that same versatility. I think Carpenter's one of a kind, honestly.
Yeah, most definitely. So, no, that was very cool. Thank you for doing some. Huh?
No, you're welcome. Am I allowed to call him Carpenter, or should I say John or Mr. Carpenter?
I think you call him Carpenter.
Thank God. He scares me, even though I have met him at conventions, but he's still scary. I kick my ass.
He's one I haven't met yet. He's on my very short list.
Oh, I hope you do soon. He's an awesome dude.
One of these days, or not. Either way, it'll be okay.
Maybe he'll be at HorrorRealm someday after he hears this show and realizes how much he likes you and me.
Who wouldn't like us? So again, that was very cool. Thank you, Rich, for a little information on John Carpenter that you might not have known. He's done other things other than Halloween. So definitely maybe check some of those things out. But we have a poll. How did we do this week on the poll? Did people answer?
They did, not to our normal level, but I think we saw the and again, I alluded to this last week, our recording sessions versus when things are released. The poll came right the day after Thanksgiving. And I think I noticed, or not think, I know I noticed some differences with how things were viewed and responded to, kind of that Thanksgiving drop off. So I think we'll see an uptick next week. But we had 14 people respond. And
nice.
The question, if you recall, Mike, that we decided on for this one was, we wanted to know people's preferred way to collect horror films. And the answer options we gave them were Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, digital download, VHS, Laserdisc, streaming, because I don't need to own them, and other, and we asked them to specify. So, as I mentioned, we got 14 responses. We got nothing in the other this week, which is not surprising. Unless somebody wanted to say beta, I didn't expect it.
Beta, yeah.
Which, that guy's out there, but Thanksgiving week prevented him from seeing our survey. We got 0 on VHS, which I was kind of surprised, because VHS still has a pretty strong following for collectors.
Yeah, it does. It has its niche, for sure.
Digital download got 0, which I'm not surprised because, we phrased it as owning, or...
Yeah, and collecting.
Yeah, collecting. So that didn't surprise me too much. There was 3 that only got 1 vote each. The first was DVD. The next was Laserdisc, and the last one was 4K.
Okay.
So I was a little surprised DVD. I mean, I know it's been a Blu-ray era for a while now, but I thought there'd be more DVD people still, because there's still a lot more. Well, it depends on what your interests are. I was going to say there's more options on DVD, but if you're into certain movies, Vinegar Syndrome and Severin have definitely put out things on Blu-ray that you weren't able to get on DVD. So
yeah, that's for sure.
And that gets us down to our last two. With 3 votes, streaming, I don't need to own the movies. We had 3 people say that. So that hurts the collector and me, as you know.
Yeah, for sure. That is hurtful.
And Blu-ray had 8 votes. So that is still in our little world of survey, that is still the overwhelming choice of collectors.
The preferred way to go.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting, especially since you and I discuss this subject from time to time. Where's it going? Is physical media going to go away? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems more and more, I think physical media might be on its way out. With the streaming, the theater conversations, how are they going? Are they going to survive moving forward? What are they going to do? This, that, and the other. But I don't know. I'm a collector and I like physical media, but I'm just not sure how much longer it's going to be around.
I think it's going to be reduced, the amount of units available. I don't think it's. I don't want to use the words "our lifetime," even though we're getting older, but I don't think it's going away completely in our lifetime. And I mean, a great example would be vinyl records. They were almost non-existent. They were still big when I was a kid. You weren't even born yet. They had probably come close to dying off by the time you were born. And look at the resurgence.
Yeah. But isn't a vinyl record a better sound than digital?
It is a better sound than digital, and that's part of what causes people to enjoy them and why I collect them. It also, though, there's that little piece in the mind, and this is why I wonder about like kids, like my kids' generation. Maybe they will never feel this way. There's that touching and feeling and looking at the sleeve that it comes in, and maybe there's some liner notes and things of that nature. That's part of what attracts record collectors as well. And I think why movie physical media will still exist again, maybe on a smaller unit scale, but for certain people, it'll still be out there.
Yeah. I hope so, because I know we've talked many times about how the UK has great releases of physical media and how our Blu-rays, they barely are cases anymore.
Yeah.
And I just wonder why the disconnect, why maybe they buy them more in the UK. I don't know why that is.
I should have pulled out.
They have some really amazing media sets.
I should have pulled out some of my examples, because I find ways to get hold of some of those European releases, and I have some US and European, but I'm not going to walk over to my shelf and pull those off for you.
I wouldn't. But yeah, they do. I wish they would do more of that here, but I think the way of the world is definitely digital. And again, I understand the vinyl, though. There's the argument because the sound is better.
Yeah.
But digital now is just as good as Blu-ray, so if not better.
Definitely getting there. You're right. A few years ago, you could have made the argument that streaming was not as strong of a view, but I think it's closed that gap quickly.
Yeah, it really has. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes. I hope it's not going the way of the dinosaur, but we shall see.
Well, as you know, I collect as much as I can of physical media, because my one fear with streaming is that there are going to be things I can't see because somebody deems it not the time to put it on. They own the catalog, and we're not going to put it on our channel right now, or we're not going to make it something you can purchase on demand or to own. So that's my biggest fear. I like the convenience of laying there, not moving from my chair and just keep playing things with the remote. It's nice,
Right.
but I don't
It is.
I don't trust the business world to make my kind of stuff available at all times.
No, I agree. That's a real big thing. People say, why buy it when it's on Netflix or this or that? And Netflix, and they get rid of shit all the time. So you
Yeah.
just never know. So what is your favorite media to collect right now?
Hang on one second, Mike. Can you hear me okay? You froze
Yeah,
up
I
for
can
a
hear you.
second. I'm gonna just change some settings here and see if this fixes anything. And that's the prime example. Like, that's the big thing each month is, oh, this is what's leaving the channel and this is what's coming on.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think people, some of these movies that we finally have gotten on DVD and Blu-ray in the last decade, I think when everything does go the way of streaming, I think all of a sudden people are going to be like, man, I want to see that movie, but I'm not paying $100 to buy the Blu-ray because obviously people will jack the prices up when you can't get it streaming.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, as soon as there's a lot of stuff that's going out of print on DVD that the
Oh
prices are
yeah.
insane on. Um, so I actually have some examples that I pulled from my collection
Yeah.
if you want
Yeah.
to
And why don't you tell people what
look
your
at a few of
favorite,
those.
what your vote would have been? Because I think,
My vote would have been Laserdisc. That's my favorite media to collect horror. Um, I do have DVDs and Blu-rays. I do have those, but I probably have, I don't know, a good almost 150, maybe even more
nice.
laser discs. But I just like the art, and the quality is not terrible. You know what I mean? Like if you throw a VHS in on your 4K TV, it looks
Right.
like dog shit. So that's kind of why I got out of VHS. It just wasn't fun to watch it anymore. Like the nostalgia burned off
I
for
agree.
me. I was tired of watching grainy shit. Um, so I found that Laserdisc is not. Some of them are not too far off of almost DVD quality. I would argue that Laserdisc for Event Horizon is probably one of the best ones that I've seen. It does rival, I would say, a DVD any day of the
Huh.
week. So I thought that was interesting when I watched it. But again, I have a few that I wanted to show. So this one here, Monkey
Nice.
Shines.
Love that.
So Mr. Romero. I'm gonna do this. So I have. It's funny we're doing a bottom five of cool artwork, but
Right.
terrible film, and this is the one that immediately came to my mind. I remember seeing this VHS all the time and just thinking how cool it was, and then I watched it and I was like, "This isn't cool
No,
at all. It
it's
sucks." This one, some people might not have heard of, Blood Sucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh.
that's a valuable laser disc in your hands.
It is. It's not a cheap one. It is definitely not a cheap one. But this one I had to add to my collection because we live in
Yes,
Pittsburgh.
I think that
This
movie's valuable no matter what medium you have it on.
So these two I wanted to. This is one of my favorite
That's
covers.
beautiful.
That's Halloween 2. And then I always like this
Oh,
one, Halloween 3. Mr. Tom Atkins
King of Pittsburgh.
should be in there. And then this is only own four Japanese laser
Oh,
discs, and this is what we were talking about. How there's so much more awesome releases in overseas. So this one here, it has the OBI sticker on the side. This is actually Tales from the Crypt. It's I think it's 3 episodes of Tales from the Crypt on
that
the
looks
disc.
nothing like Tales from the
So
Crypt.
No, no, nothing at all. That's definitely Tales from the Crypt. No Crypt Keeper, no nothing. And then the last, I think this could be my prized possession for horror laser discs, and that's the Pinhead or Hellraiser. I can turn it to the right side. Hellraiser with the silver Pinhead box set edition. It comes with the laser disc, which is a 2-disc edition, opens up gatefold, all that, and then it has inside. It has a book, and it is signed by Clive Barker also. So this one, it is a numbered set. I can't remember exactly what the numbering was. I think it was 2500. Wow. But yeah, this is the script to Hellraiser, and then it has some original art from him, like Frank.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, he signed it and all that good stuff. I was lucky enough to meet Clive several times, but this was his signature, and it's legit. It's not, the just like a computer did it or whatever. But yeah, I picked this one up several years ago. I just had to put it in my collection because I think it's a great piece of media altogether. So that's some of my favorite
That's
stuff.
awesome. Thanks for sharing.
That I collect. Yeah, so we wanted to do a little show and tell every once in a while since we're using video. So for the video folks, they get a little extra. But now you know what time it is, Rich.
Best time of the night.
You know what time it is. The best time, everybody's favorite time, the bottom 5. Woo-hoo. Nice. So what we wanted to do for this bottom 5, it's a little wordy on this bottom 5, but it's the bottom 5 worst films that we think are bad from the VHS sort of era, that had the best artwork. Like cool artwork, shit film is basically what we're doing. So with that being said, Rich, why don't we start it off with you, sir?
Yeah. And
let's go with number 5. And for the people watching, we're going to throw the image on the screen for you to show you what we're talking about as well.
My first one, and let me preface this with saying I could probably have come up with a bottom 100, but
oh yeah,
I just picked some that I remember really stuck out to me during my heyday of going to the video store. And the first one was Demon Wind. Are you able to see that?
I do see that.
I don't know if you've seen this movie.
Demon Wind.
I
have.
It's cool artwork, and in my VHS store, and I don't know if this was standard for all the VHS releases, it had the lenticular cover, which made it even cooler.
Right. Yep.
But it pretty much just never lives up to. I still don't even know what the hell Demon Wind was.
No, I've attempted to watch that film, but I don't think I made it through, to be 100% honest.
Awful movie, but I thought this really summed up a lot of the type of artwork you saw in the 80s, and that was really something that grabbed me and caused me to rent.
Right. And you would be mad. So my top or bottom 5, my 5th one is Skeeter from when the hell is Skeeter? From 1993. Yes, still VHS. But I do remember this terrible, terrible film. I would see it all the time in the video store. And it just looked really cool. You got that menacing looking thing with the teeth and everything. And then you put the movie in and it's fucking terrible. They just throw these like rubber mosquito looking things at the actors, and it's terrible. But all the money was definitely spent on the artwork and nothing else.
Oh, you ready for my number 4?
I'm ready.
My number 4 was The Video Dead. Have you seen The Video Dead?
Yeah, this is that's funny that you mentioned Video Dead. That's actually my number 3.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, that's what makes the bottom 5 so fun. Well, I mean, as you know, I think arguably some of the best VHS era artwork is a Video Dead. And you can find other, this is one of the more common, but you can find other artwork and
Yeah,
none of it fails you. But the movie itself, especially being a huge zombie fan, what a snooze fest.
it's just terrible. It just never does anything.
No. Let's see your artwork for it. Since we ruined the surprise.
Mine's the same.
Oh,
Mine's the same one as yours.
okay, I thought maybe you'd grab one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry about your number 3, but how about your number 4?
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. I'm just pulling it up here now. Da-na-na-na-na. John Carpenter's Body Bags.
You know, of all the nights for you to rip on my man.
Now this was in the 90s as well. This was 1993. That looks cool as fuck right there. That looks like a badass movie. And what this movie is a made-for-TV movie, which was like a little anthology that wrapped around this morgue, and John Carpenter actually starred as the mortician. He probably shouldn't act a lot. It's a good thing he didn't go that route. It just wasn't very good. You could tell he was hemmed in by it being made for TV. So, yeah, it really cool looking. Not.
All right. So you ready for my number 3? Kind of getting.
Yeah, you ruined my number 3.
Kind of having trouble getting over Body Bags right now. I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said, but Carpenter is my man. So here's my next one.
I know.
Fright Night 2. I loved this artwork when I saw it, especially coming off the first one. You know, I discovered that VHS era, and you had that beautiful blue background with the, the house and kind of the ghosty looking vampire, coming over the top of it or whatever. And I thought this was another way of really capturing Fright Night fans. Like, okay, it's time to rent another one. Boy, this was not the time to rent a movie. I've railed against this.
Why do you hate this film so much?
It's stupid. It pretty much ignores the first one in a lot of ways. It's just horrible. You're a fan? I
can't disagree with you. No, I'm not a fan. I've seen it once and I've put it out of my memory. I
mean, pretty much they said, oh, screw number 1 and everything it accomplished. It didn't really happen. Or now I'm trying to remember. Right. Is it the kid can't remember? I don't know. They just get stupid. So
yeah, it's something the kid can't remember or something. I don't know.
It's a piece of junk. What it is.
Yeah, I'm never watching it again.
But I thought it was great artwork to drag the Fright Night fans in. Like, oh, okay, now we got Fright Night, but with a female vampire.
Right, exactly.
I'm listening. Nope. Piece of junk.
It's not worth. It's not worth your time. So, yeah, you took my number 3, which was Video Dead, which we talked about was slow. That was from 1987. But I don't know a cooler artwork. I mean, it's so cool, and then the movie's just so shit. So why don't you go ahead and give us your number? Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, it's one that if I can ever get my hands on it, I will buy an original poster of the Video Dead.
Oh, yeah, because it's great artwork, but never watched the film. So do you want to give your number 2?
Sure. Let's see what I can do here. This movie, I think the artwork's cool. It might be a movie I hate more than most. Spookies. Have you seen this movie?
I have. I'm not sure the love fest for it. I don't really get that.
It makes no sense to love fest.
The artwork's cool until the face under the spookies.
The face isn't great, but all this with the, the zombies or whatever, and
Yeah.
of course there's almost bare boobs. I mean, you got to remember, here's Rich, however many years old, walking into a video store,
That's true.
hot girl, zombie. I didn't even see the Corey Feldman looking vampire.
That's always what stuck out to me about Spooky's artwork and why I never really thought about it. But if you want to talk about an expensive laser disc, you're looking at it right there. That's a very
Makes no
pricey.
sense to me.
I'm sorry, but it is. It's a pricey.
Oh, I
one.
believe you, because people have some weird fascination with that movie that makes no sense.
I don't get it. I mean, I watched it, and it's not like I hated it, but I don't get the obsession that people have with it. But I don't have to.
I hated it.
So my number 2 is one that I remember seeing all the time going into the video store. My number 2 and number 1 are ones that, if I think about the video store, I'm thinking about these two, and this is the first one. This will be my number 2. Dolls.
I was close to you on that. That almost made my list.
Now, I will give you, there is a lot of wording, and they put everybody in the film on the poster. I get that, but that little girl's face as 7-year-old Mike walks into the video store, that's fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And that, it drew me all the time. And then you watch it and you're like, Jesus Christ, do something, film. What's the problem? And then you realize it's a Charles Band film, and you have that to deal with. But yeah, that was my number 2. It's just, I wished it was good because the artwork's awesome, but it's not. Have you seen it? I'm sure you've seen it. This is a dumb question.
I have, and I'm glad you put it on there because it definitely deserves to be on the bottom 5. As I said, I almost made space for it. And I like some Charles Band movies. Like, I like the Puppet Master movies.
But to a point, I like some of the Puppet Masters, yeah.
But when he misses hard.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, just schlock, if you will.
So would you like my number 1, Mike?
Yeah, let's do the number 1. What's your number 1,
So
sir?
I will preface this with saying that, well, it's a total piece of crap, but that's not what I want to preface it with. The same thing that you just mentioned. When I walked into the video store, if I remember walking into the video store, this is one that always caught my eyes, was always on a shelf. This, Faces of Death, and Dawn of the Dead were the 3 that always were punching me in the face when I went into the horror section.
Right.
And there it is.
Microwave Massacre.
You can't tell me. First of all, Midnight Video did a great job of branding with what they would do at the top of their boxes.
Oh, definitely.
And in that artwork, you can't tell me that you're not excited for Microwave Massacre.
I've never seen Microwave Massacre, but I would watch that based on that artwork.
Sadly, I do have the DVD because I will own as much as I can get, and I will let you borrow it. I do not want you to ever spend money on this movie. It is one of the worst pieces of junk you have ever seen. There's no, the story's horrible, the acting is worse, the production value is worse than the acting and the story. It's everything bad about filmmaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah. But like I said, I still own it.
You do. All right. So that was your number 1. So this is my number 1. Again, this is very much, I remember this trailer. I remember the poster. I remember going into, I want to say, Giant Eagle Video and seeing it there, or Visual Adventures as well. And here it is. Return to Horror High. Now, there's several different cover arts to Return to Horror High. There's one with a girl in a cheerleading costume, and she's got a different pose, and the background's like a darker background. But this is the one that I remember. And I remember watching the movie for the first time and just being super disappointed. Like, this isn't good at all. This is not what I expected one bit. So I was very disappointed when I finally was able to watch this film when my parents said I was old enough, because this was 87, so I was 7 years old. But just a sad film in my opinion. I think Marsha Brady was in it, if I'm
Well,
not
and that's why
mistaken.
I don't hate the movie, because it was cool for me to see Marsha Brady at that stage in a horror film, and she got hotter. Because I grew up with Brady Bunch, and of course,
Right.
Marsha Brady was hot, and then it's like, well, Marsha Brady's still hot, and now she's in this horror film, and yeah, it makes absolutely no sense, but I just don't care.
It started like after the horror movie ended. Like, there was all these dead people in the high school, and
Well,
I
let me
just
give
did
you a
not care for it.
couple tidbits that might help you out. First of all, look at the title, Return to Horror High.
Yeah, where did we go the first time?
There is a Horror High, and I bet you didn't
Is
know
there
that.
really?
And it's
No, I had
somewhere
no
over
clue.
there in my Blu-ray collection. It's a 60s or 70s film.
Really?
So it actually is a sequel,
Huh.
believe it or not. And so that
I
makes it a
did
little
not
bit more
know.
tolerable. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would help, knowing that there was an original, because you start the film off and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then it just is campy the rest of the
Oh, it
way.
would be like somebody telling you had to start your Michael Myers viewing with Halloween 2. Like,
It's not the. Why is everyone in the hospital?
yeah, how do we
What's
get to this?
happened here?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
No, I can
So
see why it
that,
would make your list.
yeah, and I don't know. I was expecting more gore and serious horror from the box art. Like, I don't know. I was just expecting too much, but they got me, and that's what it was supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
Get me to
exactly.
watch the film. So
Yes.
that was our bottom 5 worst films with the best box art. Again, I do want to say that you made a good point, Rich. You could have probably made a bottom 100 of these. There's just so many to choose from. When I was looking through pictures, I was just like, fuck, I could choose all of these, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
only have 5. We've only have 5. So
Which is a credit to the era that we grew up in, that they really marketed well. And even though I was disappointed in the movie, sometimes I appreciate what they did with artwork. Like they provided us something really cool that we don't see anymore.
and then Scream came along and killed the artwork.
Oh,
Had
don't
to put
remind
all
me.
the faces on there. Scream, that was a dark time. But anyway, we want to thank you all for joining us this evening. Hit us up at thescaryroomhr@gmail.com with any suggestions, anything you want to say. Thank you again for listening to us. We really, really do appreciate it. This crazy little thing we do during quarantine and COVID and whatever you want to call it. So again, thank you for listening. And we are Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead.